Right now, you can throw a shirt into a machine, pour in detergent, press a button, and walk away. The drum turns in a bright room. Water comes from pipes you never see. Heat dries the fabric. A chemical smell tells you it is clean. You barely think about it. Laundry feels like one of the most ordinary chores in modern life. But for most of human existence, there was no machine, no detergent aisle, no hot water setting, no dryer, no closet full of replacements. The thing wrapped around the body had to be protected by hand. It had to keep out cold, rain, insects, blood, sweat, rot, smoke, and the smell of a living body. Clothing was not just fabric, it was a second skin. And if that second skin failed, the body beneath it was exposed. So what did ancient humans do before washing machines cleaned the second skin they lived inside? The answer is not just about dirt. It changes how we think about comfort, disgust, survival, and the quiet distance modern life has placed between your body and the materials that touch it every day. Most people imagine ancient humans as simply filthy because they did not have modern hygiene. The picture is easy. Rough skins, bad smells, bodies covered in grime. People too busy surviving to care about cleanliness. But that image is too simple. Archaeology does not show people who ignored their coverings. It shows people who worked on them, shaped them, maintained them, repaired them, and understood that what touched the body could mean warmth, movement, status, safety, and life. Before laundry was a household task, clothing care was survival intelligence. One of the strangest clues comes not from clothing itself, but from lice. Researchers studying the genetics of clothing lice have argued that regular clothing use may reach back roughly 170,000 years. The exact timeline is still debated, but the implication is powerful. Clothing had become a stable enough part of human life for a parasite to specialize in it. That means the human body was no longer only managing skin, hair, and shelter. It was managing a portable environment. Imagine that for a moment. A hide wrapped around shoulders, fur pressed against sweat, seams rubbing at the hip, insects hiding near the warmth of the body. Clothing was protection, but it also created a new problem. The body now carried a small ecosystem with it. Dirt was not just ugly. Smell was not just unpleasant. Infestation could mean irritation, infection, weakness, distraction, and social disgust. Ancient people may not have described this in modern medical language, but they did not need a microscope to know that some materials made the body safer, while others made it miserable. A covering that was too wet could chill you. A hide that stiffened could tear. Fur that held pests could spread discomfort through a camp. The lesson came through touch, smell, itching, cold, and memory. That is the first important shift. Before washing machines, the question was not, how do I make this smell fresh? It was, how do I keep this material alive enough to keep me alive? And the methods were physical: scraping, stretching, drying, smoking, softening, turning a dead animal skin into something that could move with a living body. This was not the kind of cleaning we think of now, with water filling a drum and foam spinning behind glass. It was maintenance. It was preservation. It was a long negotiation between flesh, fire, weather, and hand. At Qasem Cave in Israel, archaeological evidence has suggested that ash may have been used in the processing or preservation of organic materials, including hide. Ash sounds simple now, almost like waste from a fire. But in a prehistoric camp, ash was not just what remained after flame. It was a material, dry, alkaline, absorbent, connected to heat, smoke, and transformation. Picture a person crouched near a fire after the meal is over. The flames are lower now. The cave smells of smoke, fat, stone, and animal skin. Hands gather ash and work it into a hide. Not as a modern detergent, not as soap in the way you know it, but as part of a practical knowledge system. Fire cooked food. Fire warmed bodies. Fire hardened tools. Fire also changed the materials that protected the body. That detail matters because it breaks the modern assumption that ancient life had only brute force. A person using ash on hide is thinking chemically, even without chemistry. They are observing what dries, what preserves, what softens, what resists decay. They are learning that the remains of fire can help protect the remains of an animal, so a human body can survive another cold night. This is where ancient clothing care becomes more intimate than laundry. You do not have to know the molecular structure of ash to understand its behavior. You only need years of touch. You need someone older to show you what a good hide feels like. When it is too damp, when it is beginning to rot, when it must be stretched again, smoked again, worked again. Knowledge lived in hands before it lived in instructions. The washing machine hides the process. Ancient clothing care exposed it. Another clue comes from Neanderthal sites, where researchers have found specialized bone tools, often called lissoirs, associated with hide and leatherworking. Similar kinds of tools are still known historically in leather production, where smooth bone can help work a hide, polish it, or make it more supple. Some Neanderthal examples have been dated to around 50,000 years ago, suggesting that this was not casual behavior. It was skill. The image is quiet, but intense. A piece of bone pressed again and again into animal skin, smoothing, shaping, changing texture through repetition. No spinning drum, no synthetic softener, no machine rhythm, just pressure, patience, and the body leaning into the work. The goal was not luxury in the modern sense, it was movement. A stiff covering can restrict the arm. A poorly worked hide can crack. A rough edge can cut into the skin over miles of walking. This is easy to underestimate because modern clothing arrives already obedient. Your jacket bends. Your shirt stretches. Your shoes are shaped before you buy them. But ancient people had to make materials obey the body. They had to turn hide into something that could bend at the shoulder, wrap at the waist, resist weather, and survive use. They were not just covering the body. They were engineering an interface between the body and the world. That interface had emotional meaning too. The thing that keeps you warm becomes personal. It smells like your smoke, your camp, your animal fat, your labor, your kin. It carries repair marks. It remembers where it tore. A modern shirt can be replaced in an afternoon. An ancient covering could hold days, seasons, and stories. Then, around the Upper Paleolithic, eyed needles begin to appear in the archaeological record, with some examples around 40,000 years old. Researchers have argued that such tools suggest more complex clothing, and perhaps clothing that did more than protect against cold. Stitching allows fit. Fit allows layers. Layers allow mobility. And once clothing becomes more fitted, it can also become more visible as identity. A needle is a small object, but it changes everything. Thread passing through a pierced eye means a seam can be planned. A torn edge can be closed. A garment can be shaped close to the body instead of simply wrapped around it. It means repair can be precise. It means a group can carry knowledge not only of how to hunt and cook, but how to make the body socially readable. Think of the hands around that work. Someone holding a skin tight. Someone pushing a point through tough material. Someone watching. Someone learning. The act is practical, but it is also social. A garment repaired by another person carries care. A covering made well may say something before the wearer speaks. This person belongs. This person is protected. This person is seen. This does not mean ancient humans cared about fashion in the modern commercial sense. That would be too easy and too false. But it does suggest that clothing was never only about temperature. Once human beings wore things regularly, those things entered the world of judgment, memory, attraction, shame, pride, and group belonging. The second skin became part of the self. And that brings us to the human mechanism beneath all of this. Disgust is not just a personality trait. It is deeply tied to disease avoidance. Humans tend to react strongly to smells, fluids, parasites, spoiled matter, and contaminated surfaces because, across time, those signals could mean danger. A dirty covering is not merely a dirty object. It is something pressed against the skin, warmed by the body, carried into sleep, shared near children, and brought close to the faces of others. But humans are not only disgusted animals. We are grooming animals too. Across human societies, touch, cleaning, repair, and care often create trust. To remove something from another body, to fix what protects them, to help repair a covering, to share the labor of maintenance. These acts can become social glue. The body relaxes when it is cared for. The group becomes safer when its members are kept usable, warm, and less vulnerable. So ancient clothing care sat at the crossroads of disgust and intimacy. The same material that could repel others if it smelled wrong could also connect people when it was repaired, softened, shared, or prepared together. Cleanliness was not a private button. It was a relationship between body, group, environment, and memory. Modern laundry gave us something extraordinary. It reduced labor. It reduced risk. It made clothing easier to maintain. It gave people more time, more comfort, more sanitation, more softness, more choice. There is no need to pretend the old world was better. A freezing hide, a parasite-filled seam, a wet covering in winter. These were not romantic. They were dangerous. But convenience always changes the shape of attention. When a machine cleans your clothes, you no longer have to know what the material needs. You do not feel the stiffness changing under your hand. You do not smell the difference between smoke preservation and decay. You do not learn which fibers hold moisture, which skins resist weather, which tear can wait, which cannot. The task becomes simple because the knowledge has been moved somewhere else. Into factories, chemicals, electricity, water systems, repair industries, and machines. The obvious lesson is that ancient humans lacked clean clothes. The deeper truth is stranger. They had a more intimate technology. Hands, fire, ash, smoke, bone, needle, memory, shared attention. The washing machine did not only replace work, it replaced a relationship. Not a beautiful relationship in every moment. Not an easy one, but a close one. A relationship between the human body and the fragile materials that allowed it to move through cold, rain, darkness, insects, and distance. Today, you can pull a warm shirt from the dryer and feel almost nothing except relief that the chore is done. That is a real gift, but it is also a kind of forgetting. For most of human history, the thing you wore was never just something to keep clean. It was a survival object. It was shelter you could carry. It was proof that someone had scraped, dried, smoked, softened, stitched, and repaired a boundary between skin and world. Go back to the washing machine. Listen to the drum turning. Look at the clothes inside, tumbling behind glass. They are not just fabric. They are the modern version of an ancient second skin. The machine gave you convenience, warmth, sanitation, and time. But it also hid the old knowledge once held in hands: smoke, ash, bone, and fire. You do not need to return to that harder world. But your body comes from it. And somewhere beneath the clean cotton, the soft detergent smell, and the quiet machine in the corner, you are still wearing the same ancient need. To be protected, to be accepted, and to feel that something close to your skin still belongs to you.